Hi, welcome to my channel. You may know me for my Forsaken content if you know me at all, but my second most played game is definitely Warframe, and I am a die-hard Revenant main, but people always use him incorrectly, and it's really annoying because these people that are just spamming Mesmer skin are ruining my boy Revenant's name. I mean, it works, but he's boring if you only use him for his Mesmer skin. So in this guide, I'll teach you how to actually use Revenant, one-shot any enemies with Reeve, and why Thrall isn't useless and Dance Macabre is. Also, quick tip, you need lots of ability strength. I recommend using Blind Rage and Umbral Intensify. Anyways, let's get started. First, we'll start with the basics. We'll cover his abilities, his playstyle, and I probably shouldn't keep using these 3 example formats lest I look like an AI. Mind you, I am expressly anti-AI, so you don't have to fear me ever using it in any of my videos. Anyways, first up, his abilities. Here we have Enthrall, Mesmer Skin, Reeve, and the Dance Macabre. With Enthrall, when you use Enthrall, enthrall the enemy, turning them to your side. And what makes this interesting is that as soon as the enemy deals any amount of damage to another enemy, they will infect them and enthrall other enemies too. This doesn't reset the timer, however, so if you want to keep them fighting for you, you'll have to infect a new thrall manually after the time runs out. Speaking of the time, you only get 30 seconds to have fun and start a life with a thrall. You know what, Grenier number... Oh. You know what, Grenier number 23178. Yeah, my best friend. Now, I of course recommend modding for ability duration if you want to have more time, but it isn't really necessary to have a good build. Ability duration isn't really the most important part of Revenant's kit. I'd say it's ability strength more, but ability duration is certainly great to have. And another tip, when you kill a thrall, or when another enemy kills a thrall, a pillar of Eidolon energy emerges. It does minimal damage, but it does have a chance of infecting new thralls, so I think it's still nice to have. And when thralls die, they still enthrall new thralls with the thralling pillar. And also, this ability ties all of Revenant's other abilities together, so I'll talk about them in their own right, in their own ability sections. Now, you guys might know this ability the most, and it might be the most controversial ability in Revenant's kit, if not Warframe in general. Mesmer Skin. Free invincibility. Warframe easy mode. There's not a ton to talk about here, so I'll keep it short. Basically, press button, get invincibility. Easy to understand, but there are a few things that make it more than just that. When you reave a fellow tenor with Mesmer Skin, then you share a whopping, mind-boggling, 1 Mesmer Skin charge with them. Yup, so they can avoid one damage, one damage instance. Also, you give your companion one too. You give your companion Mesmer Skin when you leave, so that's nice. The neat thing here is that when an enemy decides to, I don't know, do their job and actually hit you, they get stunned, and you can actually enthrall them for free. This is great if you're out of or have low energy, but other than that, it's not too crazy. Stunning enemies is always nice, though. I'd say that the free ability cost isn't too crazy, considering you should have Arcane Energize on this guy, but if you don't, then it's still nice to have. Now, Here's the most important part of Revenant kit, but the one that nobody uses, actually. Most Revenant mains just spam Mesmer skin and Danse Macabre maybe on a normal Tuesday, but here is the part that makes Revenant interesting and not boring to play. Reeve. Actually, funnily enough, it's kind of useless unless you do a few things. So, first of all, here are the basic stats. It costs 50 energy to cast, and you, dash through enemies as a roll of sentient energy, leeching, shields, and health. But as we know, Revenant is literally invincible, so the leech is useless. We don't need the shields and health. The thing we do care about is how much they leech. I mean, you gotta take the health from somewhere. And oh look, a Grenier Lancer with 9 stacks of viral. How convenient. With 9 stacks of viral, you leech all of their health, and so they're dead. Usually it leeches 40% of their health, but when you mod almost entirely into ability strength, which you should, it leeches 100%. But in order to one-shot, we need either 2 viral stacks and roar, or 9 viral stacks without roar. But how do we get roar, you may ask? I'll bring that up later. For now, I'll teach you about Reeve Revenant, which is what I call him. Maybe interesting Revenant, or non-boring Revenant, or not put you to sleep Revenant. I'm still working on the name. So, if you don't want to apply viral for some reason, another raid to one-shot is through your thralls. Yeah, Reeve one-shots thralls.
I'm sorry, Grenier number, whatever. I'm sorry. Okay, joke over. That was so.
Also, what you're gonna do with Revenant is spam enthrall in a crowd of enemies. Wait a solid 2 seconds, and then you see that little number in the top right, your thralls. When it says 7, that means it's maxed out. Then it's time to reeve headfirst into the enemies, then hope at least 1 thrall survives to infect more thralls. Then you wait for them to infect new thralls, then reeve, then raid, then reeve, then raid, and then reeve, then raid, and so on. And this is why Revenant is great for area control. And now, Danse Macabre. Danse Macabre is the funny rave visuals, and what makes it so good early game is the fact it automatically uses the damage type the enemy is weak to. For example, a Grenier would take corrosive damage, and a Corpus would take magnetic damage, and you spray your beams everywhere, basically making Revenant a nuke frame, kinda, sorta. You can also move around in it, and it halves the energy cost of Reeve, and it casts it instantly while using it. There's also this funny bug that allows you to outrun a Gauss in free roam, Gauss, Gauss, it doesn't matter how you pronounce it, but that doesn't matter. Now, looking at the base stats, 12,050 damage per second is pretty nice. But when you get a steel path and get a real high-level enemies, it starts to lack. It starts to get a bit lackluster. And honestly, subsuming Danse Macabre for roar and using that to easier one-shot enemies with Reeve is far more efficient. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're pre-steel path, then Danse Macabre is busted. But when you do higher level missions more frequently, then I'd personally say to subsume it. But you don't really need to. And with that out of the way, those are all of his abilities over. Now, let's go in a little bit more depth on his playstyle. Remember, you don't have to follow this exactly. You can just play however you want. This is Warframe. You don't need to follow this guide exactly. this playstyle is assuming you have Roar instead of Dance Macabre, so when the mission starts, immediately use Mesmer Skin, then use Roar after making it to your first group of enemies. Then use a gun like Phantasma, wow, they really thought this through, to quickly apply Viral and Reave through them. And if you're playing any type of mission where you stay in one spot for a prolonged period of time, then Enthrall is definitely useful here to distract enemies. Like in Defense, where you can get nearly all the enemies to focus on your 7 thralls instead of destroying the objective. And whenever you lose your Mesmer Skin, just recast it. It's really not that hard. Just keep recasting Mesmer Skin for infinite invincibility. Now just do be careful to not recast it in a big group of enemies, because it does remove all of your Mesmer Skin when you recast it, so you're left vulnerable. Also, nullifiers are your worst enemy, and I hate them. They unenthrall enemies, they get rid of Roar, they get rid of Mesmer Skin, and stop Reave in your tracks. But I mean, like, at least it's better than just straight up dying the second your pinky toe touches a bubble back when Revenant was first added. And also, use Roar as much as possible here. Now, finally, the build. The build that I use. I should be showing up my personal build on my screen right now, and you may notice how instead of going all in on ability strength like most other Revenants for Mesmer Skin, I balanced it out more while still keeping most on ability strength, of course. Why? Because range and duration matter. Range increases the range you can enthrall from, and makes Reave wider, overall increasing the enemies you kill per Reave. It also increases the damage at which you share Mesmer Skin charges with Mesmer Shield. The range at which you share Mesmer Shield, thus being able to share Mesmer Skin with your allies that are further away. And Roar, with Roar, you could roar and give your allies free damage and invincibility, thus making you far better at supporting your team. Come to think of it, Revenant is a really good team support with this build, being able to give your allies free damage and invincibility. Also, I have Blinding Reave on here for more Reave range, but that's replaceable. You can replace it with Narrow-Minded if you want your Thralls to last longer, or if you want your Reave to go further, or Equilibrium for more energy, of course. And now, just before I end the video off here, I want to say you should use a Panzervault profiler for more viral, but of course also, thank you for watching all the way through. This is my first Warframe video, and the editing may be bad. I don't even know while I'm writing the script, but I hope you enjoyed, and as always, have a bye 5. Wait, no, wrong one. Have a Sealy day. I guess that works. Here's your seal image. Bye.
Sending another capsule? He's not going to treat you nice.